Witam serdecznie w nietypowym czymś, bo jest to materiał osobny, nie jest to stream, jest to materiał na YouTube'a, jest to bonusowy odcinek z Bendy Dark Revival, bo niedawno wyszły nowy chapter, który jest archiwami, tak podobnie jak w pierwszej części Bendiego. Więc dzisiaj po prostu odpowiedziałem nagrywam i chciałem go przejść i też osobno wrzucić ten materiał właśnie bonusowo na YouTube'a, więc bez przedłużania już odpalam go. Czy ja mogę... Archives, tu mogę włączyć. Aż będzie opcja jak poprzedniej, że tam w chapterach to było na końcu. To mnie przywidza w tych archiwach. To jest też pytanie. Ogólnie Bendy Dark Revival skończyłem chyba już z 5 miesięcy temu w tym momencie. Mniej więcej. Więc tyle czasu minęło. A tu mogę sobie wyjść. No dobra, fajnie, że mam kursor na środku. No ale to chyba nie będzie przeszkadzało. Tak, nie zniknę sobie go. Świetnie. Look at the archives and blah blah is filled with numerous characters that each has a critical role to play in the protection of the game. Here in the archives you learn blah 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 clubs in personal way. Feel free to explore. Więc zacznijmy od tej strony może. I Butcher Gang. Opening machine custom blah blah. Harley. Nie widziałem tej Carly. Ona czasami tak jumpscrewała randomowo. Czy no... Tak, dobrze myślę. No, on jest najmniej zniekształcony, naprawdę. O, tu jeszcze jest. Keepers. But the keepers will get the job done, no matter the cost. They are responsible for pressing the ink demon inside a smaller form, keeping his path sealed away. But the laundry came along and unknowingly changed the situation. The keepers were visually designed to reflect the various blah blah. They made of gears and wires with no sense of morality and their orders are cut to a creation living without purpose. No dobra. Z nimi też. I chyba nawet nie dało się pokonać nimi, po prostu jak się do mnie dorwali, to było po temacie. Sami, którego było mało w grze. Sorry, Dark Roy. Szkoda, że nie dali mi finalnie większej roli, no ale może w kolejnej części się pojawi. Alice Angel. That's in the Bendy world. Anything so later on the will ever reappear. To na pewno jest jakiś chęć, chcę powiedzieć, że będzie w kolejnej części się po prostu pojawiać. O! The Shipahoi Dudley. The mental invention of Wilson created to serve the dual purpose of dethroning the Ink Demon and the Cartoon Wave. No, chciał go właśnie go tworzyć, żeby pokonać demona, no, ale nie wyszło. Chyba, kiedyś wróci jako jakiś side boss. Steve był kozacki. Events at random Ink Demon counters are defeated. The role between blah. Typical enemy. King Widow. No to był w sumie najdziwniejszy boss moim zdaniem. Ink Widows have begun to infest where the light berserkers the biggest and the most feared will only emerge from his nest when it's young. You are threatened. No i król, którego pokonałem i zdetronizowałem. Atlera ma control how the world of the Inca had continued to develop different settings within the classic quest. He was weak in a fight, his name will simply never die. Amok. Ciekawe, czy był w amoku. Porter. The knowledge that the crew a far more serious stone than the first game of Bendy Machine, and his light-hearted innocence would have the player feel some off in the inky world of sorrow. Hi, Heidi. Heidi has spent more some time in the pit. That by Wilson and the keepers. It's why, but most likely was able to access places that she wouldn't have. The experience in the pit changed her as it does many, reverting her into childlike state, longing for happiness again. Nic więcej. Mogę sobie popatrzeć na nich. O, teraz po środku zobaczę co jest. Pójdę po drugiej strony. No jest mały Bendy. Bendy the iconic impulse design for Dark Ride to stand out from his traditional cartoon appearance, packing him a suit of clothes. The face that sported the classic Bendy eerie smile, but still managed to be heartwarming in the right conditions. I feel so his design had to be just right. During production we originally envisaged Bendy to talk with a series of cute squeaks to contrast the dark low voice of the Ink Demon, but he turned out to be very distracting and the idea was scrapped pretty early on. Dobra. I see Wilson. Andre Optimus was written as a servant of Arch Jr., a separate character at the time, but the story made for more sense when the two characters became one, eliminating out of needless narrative complexity. No i Adric, główna postać, protagonistka gry całej. It's a kind of hearted stroke of courage, determination, some flaws, and a deep, dark past to make our story work. We needed a newcomer to the cartoon studio world, and Audrey was the perfect franchise to help the experience the adventure. From day one of production, we knew that if people didn't connect with Audrey by the end of the game itself wouldn't be successful. Unfortunately, she turned out to be quite memorable indeed, and stands out from the other members of the cast. Dobra. Thomas Connor of the Gent Corporation, stolen by Joey Drew, retrieved by Arcade, and once again reclaimed by Gent. The Ink Machine's next adventure is a mystery. Chcę czekać na kolejną część. Nie mam osobnych do niego? O, nie mam. As the world of Dark Revive became more complex and established, we realized the Ink Demon design needed a complete rethink to match our new tone. Previous versions of his appearance looked absolutely silly, no to prawda. When placed in the world alongside the other characters, the amount of creepy music on screen effects could conceal how out of place he looked. The Ink Demon needed to look different than everything else in the world and show a natural progression of the Ink Demon evolution as Wilson held the cycle in place. I Beast Bendy, czyli tym, z którym się połączyłem. Returning for the climax of Dark Revival, Beast Bendy also was revisited. No tak, bo tutaj miał tam tylko jakby poruszał się za pomocą rąk, że tak to ujmę. A tutaj jeszcze nogi sobie śmigały. More powerful and beast-like, traditionally in more horror games they tend to build to a point where the main villain becomes a final form monster as a final boss. It's practically a trope. Already, what if you get to play as that final form instead? No dobrze nie wyszło. Nie sprawdzę tego ziomeczka. O, log. Dobra. Zacznę od tej strony. Joey Drew. The Man, The Legend, The Memory. creating this version of Joey Drew was both an exciting and daunting process. It was clear from the start that this Joey would be different from the one from the original Bendy and Dick Machine game. That was a man with all the guilt from past life, but without the experience to fully understand it. The real Joey Drew made many mistakes, but ultimately learned from them. This doesn't absolve him of his sins, but at the end of his life, he was able to help correct some of them and help fight the darkness he created. No i tutaj. No you can have it. Nathan Arch Senior. Nathan Arch was everything Joey Drew wasn't. He worked hard, built up from nothing and never compromised his integrity. Joey had big dreams, but Nathan accomplished his own dreams. He and his wife Tessa raised a son with as much love and care as they could despite Nathan's career pressures. Sadly, his son did not share Nathan's natural talent for business and enterprise. No tak. To jest wersja, że tak powiem, normalna Audrey przed zinkowaceniem się? Nie wiem jak to nazwać. Audrey, the annoying daughter of an ammunition pioneer, Audrey has blocked out the memory of her past after losing her father, but his role in her life was not over. A talented animator and artist, her skills landed her a job at Archgate. Was it fate that led her to unite with Joey Drew's machine? The machine of her birth? Or was it planned? No, ten pierwszy był, pamiętam, ona była pierwszym jakby wytworem maszyny, który mógł normalnie żyć w świecie i był, powiedzmy, ludzki w jakiś sposób. Jakoś tak to... Wilson. By the impossible shadow of Nathan Arch. Wilson thought they achieved something that would make his father proud. By luck, he stumbled upon the ink machine and was able to become the cartoon world's new master. Holding the cycle in place, he continued his experiments that could not fully be realized until the ink machine was purged. However, unnaturally entering to and from the ink realm has taken a toll on Wilson's physical being, slowly robbing him of his health. Dobra. Było. Jump. O. Who put this here? No jeszcze jeden pokój został. Minąłem, to był Joey. No i dobra. Jest tam Henry Stein. The original Cycle Breakers. Henry Stein is the ghost of a man who lost his purpose years ago, once filled with finding a way to escape the tortures of the Ink Demon and finding his way home to his wife. Henry is now left with the cold reality of being a recreation of the person he thought he was, saved as a special surprise for fans of the Bendy in the King Machine game. Henry was strictly omitted from all public discussion of the character during the entire production, which spanned several years, but Henry returned with a very satisfying face reveal. Naprawdę, no. Po raz pierwszy pojawił. Cycle Breakers. O. Allison, returning for another victory over the Ink Demon. Allison is always the voice of reason. A beacon of hope. Allison's design was carefully upgraded from the previous Bendy in the Ink Machine game to maintain her personality, but with more fragility. The purpose of meeting Allison solely in the campaign was to introduce the player to a familiar face after the main introduction. At the start, Allison was able to serve as a motivating force for Audrey until the true plot kicked in later. I Tom. Tom is Allison's silent protector and the only Boris clone involved in the main story. Where is the Boris the Wolf? Rumor has it that during the events of the game, Boris is experiencing a dark survival story of his own. Czy to jest nawiązanie też trochę do tego? Do Boris in Dark Survival? Ogólnie widziałem filmiki na YouTubie, że Borys jest tam w jakimś momencie się pojawia, ledwo go tam widać. Jakby to powiedzieć... tam przechadzać przez jakieś przez wenty jakieś. Po prostu tego. Po prostu tam na milisekundę go widać To w całej grze. No co, no, są archiwa, całe przyszedłem. A, jeszcze to jest. Betty, a faithful maid among other things to Wilson. Betty was an important character to the story of Dark Revival. As a failed experiment and someone relatively new to the cartoon studio, she was able to give a somewhat different point of view on the state of the world. We have purposely left it unclear if Betty was in on Wilson's plot to harvest Audrey, or if she was just a bystander. Behind her mask, there are still answers to be found. Czyli na stół jeszcze kiedyś wróci. Coś pominąłem, tam nic nie ma, tam nic nie ma, to będzie chyba wszystko. Archives. Była rybka jeszcze. To fajnie było wrócić sobie, popatrzeć na ten świat jest czas i czekam tylko na kolejną część, jak już kiedyś mówiłem. Materiał pewnie wiadomo, że będzie krótszy niż normalny, no ale zawsze to coś. I no mi niech się przyjmie, no. O. A nie, dobra, to czytałem chyba już. Tak jest. No i co, dziękuję za ten krótki, bonusowy odcinek, który za niedługo w pewnym momencie pojawi na YouTubie. Był to, jak mówiłem, odcinek inny niż zwykle, bo zawsze to są no, bo był jeden, wiadomo, ten następny materiał, ale wyjątkowo pojawił się właśnie inny materiał też jako bonusowy z Bendy Dark Revival, żeby uzupełnić to, co już było, content taki był i tak dalej, i tak dalej. Był jeszcze update z okazji świąt, ale tu nic takich wielkich zmian nie było, a archiwa to był kompletnie nowy poziom, że tak nazwę, kompletnie nowy level i coś innego. Tak powiedzmy szerzej. Ja dziękuję za dzisiaj i widzimy się w jakichś streamach. Adios, adios, bye bye.